Yeah, okay, yeah, fuck. Oh god, oh, Jesus, what a fucking mess. Oh my god. Yeah, I know, oh, I know. I got blood on my new chair. What makes a good video game puzzle? Maybe for you, it's something that requires real-world knowledge and experience to solve. Or maybe it's the level of intricacies and layers deep a problem runs. The more complex, the better. Maybe it's how many hours have I spent looking at the same thing only to realize that the answer has been right in front of me the entire fucking time. Fuck you, Freddy Fish. I will turn you into a goddamn Philadelphia roll. Find your own conch shell. Do not test me again. Now, I don't know you. Thank God for that. But regardless, I'd assume everyone would agree that a good puzzle is one where expectations are entirely subverted, and it makes you question what you know about the rules and the laws about the systems you've comfortably played with so far. I mean, very few people, I'd assume, would say that this kind of puzzle is good. One where you find a glowing object and you shoot it. No, the best kind of puzzles are going out of style, but maybe that's a good thing. By the way, this video is going to spoil a few games and their puzzles, so if you don't want to be spoiled by these handful of games, please shoot yourself with the funny little stage gun and come back later. Here you go. Take the gun. Here you go. No, now you have... No, if you're not going to watch it, you have to shoot. Shoot. You have to shoot. Pull the trigger. Go on. Only one time, and it only hurts for a second. There you go. The year is 1963. Zip codes are being introduced across America. Martin Luther King Jr. reads from his dream journal, and JFK is about to get into a really funny looking car for a very peaceful car ride. And on the other side of the world, a new little man drops in Setagaya, Tokyo. His name? Hideo Kojima. And he's about to revolutionize everything. The young Kojima spends his time as a student studying economics, but he quickly learns that economists are lame and gay. But in an 80s sense of the word, the old 80s, it was a different time. And he instead decides to go where all the real men with ideas go. The video game industry. You know, that industry where only art shows up and beautiful revolutionary ideas that are groundbreaking and beautiful and innovative, where cream always rises to the top. While working at Konami, Kojima is asked to take over a silly little project, a fighting game in development. This project had been running into some hardware difficulties when he took over, and it was during that time that Kojima had altered the systems to focus more heavily on escape-based gameplay rather than fighting, and thus, a new genre was popularized and, in many ways, born. The skies are parting, the heavens are singing, angels are crying, the pearly gates are opening, and it's blinding, the light is blinding, and what's that on the other side? It's...
Kept you waiting, huh?
Several years later, in 1998, while Google has yet to be discovered by explorers and Bill Clinton has just admitted to busting on a dress, Metal Gear Solid drops for the PlayStation 1. This game revolutionized a lot. Like a lot. Like beautifully rendered cinematic cutscenes a lot. Like an entirely voice-acted narrative a lot. Like in-house musicians a lot. But also convoluted storytelling, pixelized booba, and fart sounds, and these technical monuments were nothing compared to how the game played. I mean, we could sit here for hours to talk about its writing and its real-world applications to modern warfare, or pixel booba, because god damn, I'm about to act up. But what stands out to me the most is how this game would influence and be influenced by the real world. There's a boss in Metal Gear Solid named Psycho Mantis, a telepathic bald who is obsessed with negative emotions, and is now world-renowned for being one of the greatest bosses in history. Suck it, Ludwig. Boys! Because during his boss fight, he can read the player's minds, commenting on the kinds of games that they usually play and avoid incoming damage by predicting your movements. It was one of the first big fourth wall break moments in gaming history, and due to that fact, he stands on the Mount Rushmore of the greatest video game baddies to ever grace the sweaty beating eyes of gamers. The way you get around his mind-reading trick is by unplugging your controller from the player 1 port and plugging it into the player 2 port, which renders him unable to read Snake's next move. It's a masterclass in blending the real and virtual worlds in a way that, sure, breaks immersion in the simplest definitions, as you literally have to do something outside of the game, but it's in a moment that encapsulates the medium of video games so incredibly well, it is mind-boggling. It's something that can only be done in a fucking video game, and it blew my tiny ass baby brain into what is possible and impossible in video games. This was no longer a battle between Snake and Psycho Mantis I've been tag teamed in, and I am now Dwayne Jobson. I might as well be on the other side of that codec screen sitting there like, Snake, you've got to unplug it, Snake, you've got to take it out. Snake, pull out, Snake. Snake! Colonel. Oh, fuck. And this kind of creative problem solving isn't just limited to Metal Gear Solid 1 in the franchise. I mean, famously in Metal Gear Solid 3, when you're fighting the End, you can simply wait a week in real life during that fight, which results in the old sniper dying of old age due to your action. Rather, your inaction in the real world. Since then, a few other games have tried to do similar things, most notably with systems like the Nintendo DS, which had a built-in microphone for games that could be utilized in cute little ways, like blowing out candles, or creating custom sound effects, or whispering sweet nothings into this guy's ear. Yeah, you like that, you dirty little fucker? Yeah? You like when I... you like when I blow into your dick-shaped fucking nose? Why does it look like that? Why does your nose look like that, dog? It's... Though, these kinds of puzzles and minigames are kind of just microphone versions of the shoot glowing eye puzzle from earlier, aren't they? You've seen it once, and you've seen it a million times. It's very replicable, as evidenced by every other Zelda game in that era. It's so often that the streets have started calling me Riley Reid the way I'm blowing on this microphone so much. Come up with something interesting, like, in that DS era, amidst the sea and slop of grime, The Legend of Zelda, Phantom Hourglass, it stands tall and proud with one incredible, insane, another I-word synonym example of using hardware to your advantage. During one of these many visits to the Temple of the Ocean King, Link is meant to imprint an object onto his map. The only struggle is that this has to be done with no in-game prompt to have Link do this action for you. The solution instead is to pull out your map in the game and physically close your DS in real life. It's an example of another puzzle utilizing the hardware it's on to create a perfect solution in a way that extends beyond the controller. It's forced players to think outside of the traditional box, to think about what is expected of them and to do sometimes the unexpected, and it's just so beautiful, man. Like, fuck, like, video game is fucking cool, dude. John, video game, you popped off making video games. That's crazy. Or kids got frustrated and they closed their DS only to reopen it again when they're ready to take another crack at it and get happily surprised when they had magically solved the puzzle. Either way, it's brilliant. If you were alive and conscious in the year and Lord of our Savior 2014, listening to Pharrell Williams is Happy and doing the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, you would have heard of a little game demo called PT. If you want a good video talking about the intricacies of PT, you can watch Nakey Jakey's video on horror in video games. Link in the description. But that's too bad that you're here right now, isn't it? So you can go and watch that video another time, dude. You little snake-ass little bitch. Little bitch-ass little fucking snake. Little fucking snake trying to leave my fucking video. Fuck you, bitch. In PT, which was created by Hideo Kojima, again, and Guillermo del Toro. Holy, no, bring it back. Fucking bring it back. No, the guy who did the amphibian love story movie. Oh, no, bring it back. Holy shit. Sorry. In PT, you're exploring the same corridor over and over, oftentimes with minuscule changes in the setting, and sometimes there's a fetus being flushed down the toilet. Who's to say what your trip through the house is gonna look like each run? You know, we call that shit an Alabama abortion, you know? The Lord works in mysterious ways. Sometimes there's a fridge hanging from the ceiling, sometimes there's a woman following you around for the entire playthrough, and sometimes there's a fetus in the drain. In one of the runs through the house, the only solution is to speak out loud into the microphone in order to move on to the next portion of the game. No other part of this experience has you using the PlayStation microphone at all. It's a one-off progression tool used in a solution for a project that never saw a full release. God, I mean, nevertheless, Kojima has done it again. He's shown his creative chops with the PT microphone puzzle, inputting this many fart sounds in a game, and and making up a BS reason to make Quiet look like this through the entire playthrough of Phantom Pain, plot-wise? I don't know, man. Like, I know drugs in Japan are illegal. You don't got mushrooms, so you gotta just psychedelics on your own somehow. You gotta come up with crazy shit. Country girls make do. And now I want to introduce you to a fucked up, twisted person. His name is Dan, and the project he cooked up in his demented little lab should be locked away forever. When I tell you about this game, goosebumps are going to appear on your arms without warning. Hairs will stand tall and cold on the back of your neck like redwood trees in the middle of the night during winter. An unnerving sweat is going to build upon your brow and be frigid to the touch, and your legs will shake. Your knees will buckle upon mere mention. This game is none other than... No meme. This game genuinely gave me anxiety for the weeks following playing it. It was fucked up, man. I mean, yeah, no, I get it. It presents as a cute little visual novel where you romance 18-year-olds in a high school poetry club, and it takes a turn for the worse when NPC sentience and suicide rear their ugly little topic heads around the corner of the classroom. In Doki Doki Literature Club, while in Monika's domain expansion curse technique, the only way to continue on to the end of the game is to go into the game's files and delete her character file, which ultimately kills her in the game and starts it anew. She hints at this in her dialogue in the liminal space bedroom, saying shit like, "And you wouldn't believe how easy it was to delete Natsuki and Yuri. I mean, there's a file here called characters, right here in the game directory. It kind of freaked me out how easy it was. Imagine you could delete your entire existence with the click of a button." And even, "Hi player, I see you quit the game on me again. I know I asked you already, but can you seriously please try not to do that so much? There's nothing wrong with my character file, right? I mean, maybe you should make a backup of it or something." Well, you're playing on Steam, so you can just go to the game's properties and find the Browse Local Files button. Only after deleting her does the true ending of the game come to fruition, and you learn the essence of the club president becoming sentient. I mean, for Christ's sake, like, the game goes as far as to scan to see if you're running any screen recording or streaming properties on your device while playing, and asks you to shut it off, with a specialized jump scare for those that are streaming it in this intimate conversation. It is literally personalizing the experience for the systems that they're on. Holy fuck, I just love video games, man. These games utilize the hardware of the system that they're being run on in a way that cannot be replicated. Or if they are, it's in a far less interesting way, like reassigning the PlayStation DualShock from player 1 to player 2 digitally. Christ, I know that it's the same thing in principle, but doing this physically and unplugging the port just feels so much better. Like, I know the money in my bank account is the same if I'm looking at it digitally versus if I took all $3.47 out and held it in my hand, but one just hits harder. It's the same amount, but one is just different. One is more impactful. Like in early seasons of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, it was meant to be watched in a 4:3 aspect ratio, or how Avatar was meant to be watched on the big screen. Spy Kids 3D Game Over was meant to be watched with these monstrosities. The medium in which something was created must be taken into account when consuming and creating. With all of this having been said now, when I mentioned in the intro of the video that the most interesting puzzles are dying, I think of it as a positive. I don't want every video game to do this. We saw this enough with games in the DS era in the early 2000s, and it was a nice surprise when it was done well. These hit so hard because they're so unexpected. It's a greater subversion of expectations, and it makes for more interesting and memorable moments. Metal Gear Solid was memorable and interesting for a lot of ways, but also because there was genuinely nothing like it. At the end of the day, I don't need every game to desperately try to subvert a puzzle expectation. Some of it can be the puzzle equivalent of shooting the eyeball slop. Not every game needs to try to get me to look into its code to delete a boss or fuck with the controller ports, because then it becomes predictable. It becomes a gimmick. Like most things, it's about a balance. One needs the other to exist in order to appreciate and keep a healthy ecosystem, even in the video game biosphere. Otherwise, young children, new players, and mouth breathers who think Spider-Man 2 is Game of the Year would have difficulty comprehending these decisions. I suppose I'm just primarily glad that Freddy Fish doesn't have this kind of Psycho Mantis style boss fight at the end of the game that I have to deal with when I get there. Son of a bitch!
candy on a hill.